Hey guys, we're here at the God of War Ascension preview launch. Check it out and play games party. And I'm here with John, and he's the cinematics, environment, and what else guy? I completely messed that up. John, what is your title?
Lead environment artist for multiplayer and cinematics.
Yeah, and I fudged that because cinematics kind of broke my brain, because you actually have cinematics in God of War Ascension?
Yeah, we have some cutscenes, and in Ascension they're a little bit different because they are all real time, and so there will be a cinematic, and you might not realize that.
Yeah.
We consider it in studio as to be a cinematic, but if you don't have control of the player, if it's a story moment, the cinematic team would have built that.
So it is still rendered, it is still engine footage, it's just no control from the player.
Right, and that is actually a little bit different on this title than the previous title, because when you finish the game, you can customize Kratos to look completely different, and then it's kind of fun because he looks maybe goofy depending on some of the things you can do, and you can see him going around in some of the cinematics and everything. It's very fun.
Now, a big departure from the God of War franchise now is the multiplayer experience, and I was one of those people who went, "Bah, what are they doing to my game?" But the multiplayer is actually quite thoughtful, and it's really new. So what went into the thinking of putting multiplayer into God of War?
We looked at what we could do for the franchise to make it special and something unique, and keep it fresh for players, so that after they just finish the single-player campaign, what else could they do? What could we keep them coming back? Or what could we do that would keep them coming back? And we looked, and there was really nothing like a melee third-person multiplayer game. And I think one of the reasons is just figuring out the lag issue when you have two guys swinging swords, and what happens if one guy swings the sword at the same time? How does the game interpolate the lag? And we spent months figuring that kind of stuff out, and we finally nailed it. And right now, with the lag, if you have a decent connection, you won't perceive any lag, which is great. We're really proud of that. But just, I guess, going back, why did we choose to do that? This franchise, if done right, we felt we could do something special and unique, and we could have these wow moments and the cinematic gameplay and a locked camera where you don't have control of the camera. And if you look at other multiplayer games, there's so many sci-fi first-person shooters that come out a year, but nothing really like this has come out yet. So we thought this is an opportunity maybe to try something different, and hopefully gamers enjoy it.
Now, I know that most people don't get excited about lag. I do, because I actually have not a great internet connection, and the multiplayer, even those eight dude brawls, there was no lag, and that was refreshing. Was the exclusivity to the PSN a plus, or was that a challenge in doing that?
I don't know how much of a factor the PSN itself was, because we don't have servers per se on the PSN. It's like a client-side hosted game. So, but essentially, it's all built ground up. So our matchmaking is ground up. If it breaks, we have no one to call. We have to fix it ourselves.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of time is spent in proper matchmaking, so you get in a good game, because if it's a close game, it's always enjoyable. If it's a blowout, nobody has fun. The guys winning don't have fun because it's too easy. The guys losing, they hate it. They want to stop playing. So we have solid matchmaking, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
I'm going to keep pushing you on this because I was actually quite impressed with the beta. You guys almost made a beta that was too good, so people forgot that it was a beta. And I saw some of the forum stuff and like this and this and this and this. Now the matchmaking, you guys had a unique challenge, because there's almost a role-playing element of this franchise, that it is such a rich environment, and you sort of had to balance that and the experience with strategy and communicating with the players, and that sort of jump in, jump out versus 4-on-4 and don't be a dick and drop out. How did you address that in the concept stage?
Well, we had to look at other games, what they were doing when players drop out, because we wanted actually originally for players to be able to reconnect, or what happens when a player drops out. How does that affect the game? It's really difficult. It's really, really hard on the way our engine works and the setup, everything, to get the player to be able to reconnect. It's actually, our programming team said it's pretty much impossible. We couldn't do it. Right. And so just balancing wise, what happens when a player drops out? Do the other guys get a little bit stronger? Or different things like that. I don't necessarily want to reveal a lot of the behind-the-scenes things that we're doing, because we do some smoke and mirrors. It's all legit, though. And
smoke and mirrors are legit because you're dealing with ones and zeros at the end of the day, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So because I found, like, it's that sort of don't be a dick thing that a lot of games don't do. They try to make it so easy for people to have that environment that you don't actually get the experience of you are Spartans, or you are, you know, Zeus's followers, or you're Hades followers, you're Poseidon's followers. And how much of that went into the multiplayer development as well, the factions and what made them unique and special while still maintaining play balance?
That's a tricky thing, because we have all these world weapons in the game, and when you pick them up, each of these weapons has unique moves as well. And then you have these allegiances, and each allegiance has different moves and different weapons. Each weapon in its own, and there's 50 different weapons, and each of those weapons has its own special moves. So that means hundreds of special moves. And how do you keep these balanced? The answer is we have basically a text file that we can adjust. It's just numbers, we can tweak them. And we would go day by day, we'd have mandatory play tests, and then people would say, okay, this weapon is just way too powerful. Then what we also have is telemetry data behind the scenes. So anyone that's playing when the game comes out, and internally for years now we've had this, it shows, okay, 82% of the kills are actually from this weapon using this exact move. And we have these heat maps where it'll say like in this area and everything. So it's all statistics at that point, and we can see, all right, everyone's fighting here. Let's spread them out. So we'll adjust the maps or adjust the levels. Same with the weapons. If this one move is too powerful, we're just going to knock it down 10, 15%, then play it again, see what happens. And so we've done that for years now. We feel like we have a pretty good balanced game.
Now, when you have that sort of feedback, that massive amount of big data, so to speak, when do you ignore the data and go, no, we're going to make an artistic decision and we're going to do something just because we think it's cool?
Sorry, that's a scary question. That's a tough one, because you have to be careful with it. But I think we do that when we decide, okay, we need to make it our own. And an example would be in one of the big levels, there's a big wow moment, and that God Sphere comes down, and players would go, you know what? I was in the middle of killing that guy, and you just took the control away from me. And it's tough, because yeah, that's true. But then at the same time, we need this wow moment because it changes the gameplay. We need everybody to know that that spear came down, because that's where you should be focusing your attention. So sometimes there is that feedback, and it's not so much my decision. It's more the game designers and the directors.
You just got to make it work.
Right. That's true. Yeah. On the visual side, that's true. Sometimes it's just like an unpopular decision that for the gameplay to be balanced and fluid, it just has to be there, and it's part of game development, really.
Now, to talk about the actual campaign, which, let's face it, is the meat of the game, the designs, I'm noticing little changes. Kratos is thinner. His facial construction is slightly different. What went into thinking, okay, we have to make, appearance, character, it's still got to be Kratos, but we have to make this clear that this is a prequel and he's less powerful than he was in even the original God of War?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a whole package that we sell this prequel. So yes, he is younger. His body's cleaner. He's more muscular in tone. His moves are snappier. The combat's faster. Everything's just more fluid. We redid our animation system. We have animation blending. We have all new dynamic cloth. We never had that in the past. So when he runs past cloth, it'll deform around him and everything. You'll see his skirt, even just the way he runs, and when he jumps, his skirt behaves realistically. And all this stuff sounds subtle, but it lends itself more to the authenticity of the visuals that you're seeing. And all these things are a package. So to help sell Kratos as being more human and more emotional, and the way he interacts with his family and his wife and his daughter, this is just all like showing backstory as to who is this character that we know from the God of War franchise, and how did he come to be, and that's what Ascension's all about.
And that's a big challenge. I mean, you mentioned the wife and daughter, and anybody who's seen the commercial who understands Kratos, they were like, like you're making gamers cry with your ads, man. But I mean, that's a big challenge. You're taking the wife and daughter, and the daughter's been figured more in the previous prequels, but you're taking those characters and making them less a plot point and something that informs the hero, and actually finally making them part of the story. From a design perspective, what went into treating that with respect?
Well, you have to make sure it makes sense within the story. I'd say that's the most important thing. And just from a design, I think it's more storytelling than anything. And I don't know, it's difficult. It's like, how do you show Kratos' emotions where he hasn't shown them in the past? So for example, the animators would pose him, I was working a lot with the cinematics, and the animators would pose him, and we saw Kratos smile. and it was just completely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It was really creepy, and we all thought, we can't do this. He just looks really, really weird. And so we would make it more subtle, and eventually it's just like a small grin, like it's just very subtle. And it's back and forth, so many variations. Finally, we nailed it. Something that we thought was like, okay, this is enough to show that we feel comfortable with. But he's still Kratos, and he's not supposed to smile.